Hello, I'm Natasha. Welcome back to my channel. And today I want to talk about the issue that we have with water companies here in the UK. Now, I do have grave concerns about the general environment in the UK and how it is impacted with both mass migration and failing infrastructure. I don't think it's a left or right issue, really. Clearly, we have one finite world which we need to look after. And I do live near the sea in the UK and just find the situation quite awful. I can go to the beach and there will be warnings not to swim as there is a high level of sewage in the water. I also think that failing to have just basic infrastructure is a massive risk to public health, especially as we continue to import more and more people. Sewage spills into England's rivers and seas by water companies have more than doubled in 2023. According to the Environment Agency, there were 3.6 million hours of spills compared to 1.75 million hours in 2022. On top of this, 2.4 billion litres of water is wasted through leaks every single day in England. Sewage kills wildlife, destroys ecosystems, contaminates drinking water, and impacts public health. Ofwat have proposed that three water companies in the UK will be fined a total of 168 million for failing to manage their wastewater treatment works. It will be interesting to see if these fines go ahead and whether ultimately the fines will just be passed on to customers through higher bills. And guess what? Almost 3/4 of England's water industry is currently owned from overseas. At least 71% of shares in England's 9 privatised water companies are owned by organisations from overseas, including the super rich, banks, hedge funds, foreign governments, and businesses based in tax havens. Just to give an example, a Malaysian company owns all of Wessex Water. US hedge funds BlackRock, Lazard, and Vanguard each own a stake in Severn Trent, United Utilities, and South West Water. Dividends worth £6.5 billion were paid out to shareholders in the past 5 years, with £1.4 billion paid out in 2017 alone. CEOs of the 9 privatised water companies have taken a whopping 58 million in salary, bonuses, pensions, and other benefits over the past 5 years. While shareholders pocketed these eye-watering sums, consumer water bills in England and Wales have increased by 40% above inflation since privatisation, and water bills are set to rise by 21% a year going forward. So is this basically because foreign companies are trying to get as much money out of the water industry in the UK at the expense of the British taxpayer? The thing is that people have no choice but to pay these increased bills as there are no alternative providers. The water companies have a monopoly on the industry. The UK prides itself on being a capitalist society. However, competition is a vital attribute of a capitalist system. Clearly, this is not working with the water industry in Britain. I think it's really interesting to look at the annual reports of some of these companies. So I decided to take a look at the annual report of Thames Water as an example. For the year ending 31st of March 2024, it made a 139.8 million profit, but it does have borrowings of over 2 billion and net liabilities of just over 1.5 billion. This debt position did not stop it from paying two dividends of 37.5 million and 158.3 million. Thames Water has said its bills need to rise by 59% between 2025 and 2030. When the company was privatised in 1989, it had no debt. But over the years, it's borrowed heavily and is currently £15.2 billion worth in debt by one measure. A large proportion of this debt was added when Maguire, an Australian infrastructure bank, owned Thames Water. I mean, what are we actually doing here? Why are we allowing foreign companies to buy off British assets and key British infrastructure and then allowing them to take massive amounts of profit at the expense of the British taxpayer? Most of the UK has a combined sewerage system dating from the 19th century. Singapore, Switzerland, and the USA are great examples of how effective and efficient sewage management is possible and achievable. For instance, the Swiss have large underground reservoirs that temporarily store excess water in the event of heavy rainfall, making sewage spills in waterways a rare occurrence. Switzerland is also home to one of the most advanced wastewater facilities in Europe, ARA Bern. The plant produces biogas from sewage sludge and feeds it into a natural gas network, which is then used by public transport, for instance, buses in the capital. This sounds like a very innovative way to deal with sewage. So overall, I do think that there needs to be a massive shake-up of this industry, and I do not think that foreign companies should be allowed to own key British infrastructure. I do find it sad to see how far Britain has fallen. Once the leader in the Industrial Revolution, now it cannot even dispose of its own sewage effectively. Let me know what you think in the comments below.